The security camera footage showed everything: Marcus kneeling beside the sobbing teenage girl in the corner of the busy restaurant, his hand gently placed on her shoulder as he spoke words no microphone could capture. His manager, red-faced and pointing, stormed toward them. Nobody knew that what happened next would change 3 lives forever. If you're moved by stories of everyday heroes who risk everything to do what's right, hit that like button and subscribe to see more real-life moments that restore faith in humanity. Marcus Reeves checked his watch for the 3rd time in 5 minutes. The lunch rush at Bellini's Italian Bistro was in full swing, and he was already running late for his second job. His fingers trembled slightly as he calculated the hours until he could pick up Zoe from after-school care, another late fee he couldn't afford if he missed the 6 p.m. deadline. Table 7 needs their check, and 12 is still waiting for refills, barked Tony, the floor manager, as he brushed past Marcus with a stack of menus. On it, Marcus replied, forcing a smile that didn't reach his tired eyes. At 34, Marcus hadn't planned on being a single father waiting tables at 2 different restaurants. But life had other plans when his wife, Elena, lost her battle with cancer 3 years ago, leaving him alone to raise their daughter. The medical bills had drained their savings, and his degree in literature wasn't opening many doors in their small town of Millfield. He hurried to table 7, a group of businessmen who barely acknowledged him as he slid their check onto the table. As he turned toward the drink station, something caught his eye: a teenage girl sitting alone in the corner booth, her shoulders hunched, face partially hidden by long dark hair. Something about her posture sent a chill through him. He'd seen that look before, in the mirror during those first devastating months after Elena died. The girl couldn't have been more than 16. She wore a school uniform from St. Catherine's, the private academy across town. Her untouched plate of pasta sat before her, and her hands were clenched tightly in her lap. As Marcus watched, a single tear slid down her cheek. Every instinct told him to keep moving. He was already behind, and Tony had been looking for reasons to cut his hours. But something stronger, the same instinct that woke him in the middle of the night when Zoe had a fever before she even cried out, made him change direction. "Excuse me," he said softly, approaching her table. "Is everything okay with your meal?" The girl startled, quickly wiping her face. "It's fine," she mumbled, not meeting his eyes. Marcus should have nodded and walked away. Instead, he hesitated. "Are you sure? You seem upset." She looked up then, and the raw pain in her eyes knocked the breath from his lungs. They were red-rimmed and hollow, the eyes of someone who had given up. "I'm fine," she repeated, but her voice cracked on the second word. Marcus glanced around. Tony was occupied with a complaint at the bar. The lunch crowd was thinning. He made a decision and slid into the seat across from her. "My name's Marcus," he said gently. "And I don't think you're fine at all." The girl stared at him, surprise momentarily replacing the despair in her expression. "You'll get in trouble," she whispered. He smiled. "Probably. But sometimes trouble is worth it. What's your name?" A long pause. "Lily," she finally said. "Nice to meet you, Lily. Want to tell me what's going on? Sometimes it's easier to talk to a stranger." Lily's eyes darted nervously around the restaurant. "I can't go back," she said, so quietly Marcus had to lean forward to hear her. "I just can't." "Go back where?" "School." She nodded, twisting a napkin between her fingers until it tore. "They found out." "Everyone knows now." "Found out what?" Marcus asked, keeping his voice calm despite the growing concern in his chest. Lily's eyes filled with fresh tears. "About my mom. She's in prison. Drug charges. Someone found the newspaper article online and shared it with everyone." Her voice trembled. "They've been sending me messages all morning. Calling me trash. Saying I don't belong at St. Catherine's." Marcus felt a surge of anger on her behalf. "That's terrible, Lily. I'm so sorry. My dad worked so hard to get me into that school, she continued, the words spilling out now. He takes extra shifts at the hospital. He's a janitor there. We barely see each other anymore because he's always working, trying to give me a better life than. She trailed off, looking down at her hands. Then your mom had? Marcus finished gently. Lily nodded. And now everyone knows we're just, nobody. That we don't belong. Marcus leaned forward. Lily, look at me. He waited until she raised her eyes. You are not nobody. And you belong anywhere you're willing to work hard to be. You don't understand, she said, shaking her head. I was going to end it. Today. I have pills in my bag. I can't face them again. I can't do that to my dad, make him feel like he failed. Marcus felt his blood run cold. This wasn't just an upset teenager. This was a life hanging in the balance. Lily, he said, his voice steady despite the panic rising in his chest, your father hasn't failed. And neither have you. What those kids are doing is cruel and wrong, but ending your life would be the only true failure here. He moved to her side of the booth and knelt beside her. I lost my wife 3 years ago. My daughter was 8. There were days I didn't think I could go on either. But if I had made the choice you're considering, my daughter would have lost both parents. Tears streamed down Lily's face now. But how do I face them? How do I walk back in there? With your head held high, Marcus said firmly. Because you have nothing to be ashamed of. Your mother made her choices, but they aren't your choices. Your father is working himself to the bone because he believes in you. Don't let some privileged kids who've never faced real hardship take away your future. What's going on here? The sharp voice cut through their conversation like a knife. Marcus looked up to see Tony looming over them, his face flushed with anger. Why are you sitting with a customer? We've got tables waiting. I'm helping someone who needs it, Marcus replied, not moving from Lily's side. Tony's eyes narrowed. Get back to work now, or don't bother coming in tomorrow. Marcus felt a moment of pure terror. He couldn't lose this job. The rent was due next week, and Zoe needed new shoes for school. But the girl beside him was trembling, her hand clutching his sleeve like a lifeline. He took a deep breath and stood, facing Tony. This young woman is in crisis. She needs help, not another person turning their back on her. Not my problem, Tony snapped. And not yours either if you want to keep your job. Marcus felt something shift inside him, a quiet strength he hadn't accessed in years. Actually, it is my problem. Because I'm a father, and if my daughter was sitting alone in a restaurant, contemplating the worst, I'd pray someone would stop and help her. Tony's face darkened. Last warning, Reeves. Marcus turned back to Lily, whose eyes were wide with shock. Give me your phone, he said gently. With shaking hands, she passed it to him. He quickly entered his number. I'm going to call your father. What's his name and number? James Parker, she whispered. But he's working. Some things are more important than work, Marcus said, already dialing. And trust me, he'll want to know. That's it, Tony growled. You're fired. Get out. Marcus nodded, not taking his eyes off Lily. I'll wait with you until your dad comes. The phone connected, and a gruff voice answered. Hello? Mr. Parker? My name is Marcus Reeves. I'm with your daughter, Lily, at Bellini's restaurant. She's safe, but she needs you right now. It's urgent. There was a pause, then, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Marcus ended the call and smiled at Lily. He's coming. Tony grabbed Marcus by the arm. Are you deaf? I said you're fired. Marcus gently removed Tony's hand. I heard you. And I'm choosing to help this young woman anyway. Something in his calm determination must have gotten through to Tony, who stepped back, confusion replacing anger. "What's going on?" Marcus lowered his voice. "This girl was planning to harm herself today. I'm not leaving her alone." Tony's expression changed, his eyes darting to Lily, who sat with her head bowed. I didn't know." "Now you do," Marcus said simply. The next 10 minutes passed in tense silence. Tony retreated to the bar, occasionally glancing their way. Marcus sat beside Lily, talking quietly about his daughter Zoe, about the poetry he used to write, about the small victories that had kept him going through the darkest days after his wife died. When James Parker burst through the door, his janitor's uniform still on, the fear on his face was something Marcus recognized all too well, the primal terror of a parent who senses their child is in danger. "Lily," he called out, scanning the restaurant. "Dad!" Lily's voice broke as she stood up. James rushed to her, enfolding her in his arms. "What happened? Are you okay?" Marcus stood, giving them space. "Your daughter needs to talk to you, Mr. Parker. She's been going through something difficult, and she needs help." James looked at Marcus over Lily's head, his eyes filled with questions and gratitude. "Thank you for calling me." "Who are you?" "Just a father who recognized another father's daughter in pain," Marcus replied. As Lily began to tell her father everything, the bullying, the shame, the pills in her bag, Marcus stepped away. His shift was over in more ways than one, and he needed to figure out how he was going to make rent without this job. He was collecting his things from the break room when Tony appeared in the doorway. "You're not fired," Tony said abruptly. Marcus looked up in surprise. "What?" Tony shifted uncomfortably. "My sister tried to kill herself when she was 16. Nobody saw the signs. Nobody stopped her." He cleared his throat. "You did the right thing out there." Relief washed over Marcus. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," Tony muttered. "Just be on time tomorrow." As Marcus left the restaurant, James Parker was waiting for him in the parking lot, Lily sitting in their old sedan nearby. "Mr. Reeves," James called out. "I need to thank you properly." Marcus shook his head. "No need. Just make sure she gets the help she needs." James's eyes were red-rimmed. "She told me everything. About the pills. About what you said." His voice broke. "You saved my daughter's life today." "Any decent person would have done the same," Marcus said. "No," James insisted. "They wouldn't. I've worked in that hospital for 15 years, and I've seen how people look through others like they're invisible. You saw my daughter when she needed to be seen." Marcus thought of all the times he'd felt invisible himself, a single dad struggling to stay afloat, working jobs beneath his education, living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes the people who need to be seen the most are the ones everyone looks past. James nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Lily mentioned you have a daughter?" "Zoe. She's 11. And you're raising her alone?" Marcus nodded. "Her mother passed away 3 years ago." James was quiet for a moment. "I'm the head of maintenance at Mercy Hospital. We need someone to manage the evening shift. It pays better than waiting tables, and it has benefits." Marcus stared at him, not quite comprehending. "Are you offering me a job?" "I'm offering you an interview," James corrected with a small smile. "But considering you just saved my only child, I'd say you have a pretty good reference." 6 months later, Marcus stood in the auditorium of St. Catherine's Academy, watching with pride as Lily Parker took the stage. Her father sat beside him, both of them dressed in their Sunday best. "For my community service project," Lily began, her voice clear and confident, "I created a peer support program for students dealing with family trauma and mental health challenges. With help from our school counselor and inspired by someone who showed me that a single moment of kindness can change a life, we've established weekly meetings and a crisis response team. She looked directly at Marcus and smiled. Sometimes the people who save us aren't wearing capes or uniforms. Sometimes they're just ordinary people who choose to see us when we feel invisible. After the presentation, as they walked to the parking lot where Zoe was waiting in James's car, Marcus felt a peace he hadn't known since Elena died. "She's going to be okay," James said, following his gaze to where Lily was chatting with a group of friends. "They both are," Marcus replied, thinking of how Zoe had blossomed since he'd taken the hospital job. With regular hours and weekends off, he could finally be present for her life again. James nodded. "All because you risked your job for a stranger." Marcus smiled. Sometimes the biggest changes come from the smallest choices. As they reached the car, Zoe jumped out to hug her father. Over her head, Marcus caught Lily's eye. The hollow desperation he'd seen that day in the restaurant was gone, replaced by something that looked remarkably like hope. Sometimes, Marcus thought, the people we save end up saving us right back. If this story touched your heart, please like and subscribe for more powerful stories of everyday heroes making extraordinary choices. Remember, you never know when a single act of kindness might change someone's entire life, or your own.